Shifting focus now to the war in Ukraine. Today, Russia has claimed to have launched offensive operations across multiple Ukrainian front lines. The Russian Defense Ministry said that its forces targeted key military infrastructure in Ukraine's Sumy, Kharkiv, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, Kherson. And according to the Russian Defense Ministry, over 150 locations were hit, including drone storage sites as well as deployment points. The Russian forces also claimed that their air defenses shot down 146 Ukrainian drones in the last 24 hours. And Ukraine also claimed battlefield wins. Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported intense fighting, over 253 battles to be precise, in just one day. Ukraine claimed that clashes took place in Russia's Kursk region. Ukrainian forces also said to have carried out missile artillery strikes against Russian military targets, including weapon storage and electronic warfare stations. As fierce fighting continued on the battlefield, diplomatic efforts continued on the side as well. U.S. President Donald Trump has indicated that he might meet with the Russian president during his upcoming trip to Saudi Arabia in mid-May. And there's also a push from the U.S. as well as European leaders for direct communication with Moscow to help end the war in Ukraine. Western diplomatic efforts aside, Russia seems to be cautious. Trump claims that EU leaders have urged him to engage with Putin, but Russia's top officials, including Putin, have emphasized their desire for a security framework that respects their interests. Putin also publicly stated that the use of nuclear weapons is not currently necessary. On the support front, Ukraine hopes to receive 3 million artillery shells this year, with significant contributions reportedly from Czech-led initiatives. President Zelensky is currently visiting Prague to boost military aid for Ukraine and discuss plans for F-16 training programs. As far as talks with Russia are concerned, the Ukrainian president remains skeptical about Russia's declared ceasefire plans for May 9, citing continuous attacks.
We believe that ceasefire is possible at any moment, even starting today, and should last for at least 30 days to give diplomacy a real chance. For example, in the past days, they have been saying that they want some partial ceasefire, but you should know that number of assaults these days was the highest in the past months. They conducted more than 200 assaults. I listened to the report by General Syrski. He told me that there were more than 200 assaults yesterday. So we do not believe them. Provocations are possible, and it depends on the Russians. If anyone still believes them, they can test it.
The Czech government has been a strong backer of Ukraine since the war started. In fact, the Czech government has also led an initiative to supply Ukraine with large-caliber ammunition.
If someone has all the cards in their hand to end the war, then it is President Putin, who can do it with a single decision. But so far, the will has not appeared.
Remember, just last week, Putin declared a 3-day ceasefire over May 8 to 10 to mark the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Soviet Union and its allies over Nazi Germany in World War II. Zelensky has called the temporary truce call pointless. Instead, called for an unconditional ceasefire over at least 30 days. And so, as the fighting continues, the world watches closely. Can the diplomatic efforts aiming to broker peace come before military actions intensify further? We'll have to wait and watch for that answer. And our next story is about Elon Musk. Recently, he shared a post, the message, how it started versus how it's going. The occasion, the official declaration of his starbase into a city in a vote cast by a small group of voters, most of whom are Musk's employees at SpaceX reportedly. It was decided that starbase will be made a full-fledged city and will contain the facilities of city life. Musk celebrated the moment on social media, saying that it had come a long way. He put up a post that featured 2 sets of images. marking the before and after of his starbase. One is from the inauguration ceremony, where Musk and his associates were seen with shovels in the sand, and the other showing a full-fledged starbase office. What exactly is starbase? It is the facility and launch site for Musk's much-acclaimed SpaceX rocket program, one that is under contract with the Department of Defense and NASA, hoping to send astronauts to the moon as well as to Mars someday. In his spending plan, Trump seems to have been pretty generous to Musk and his SpaceX. Trump is reportedly seeking to reorient federal spending on space in a way that is likely to drive billions of dollars to Musk's space ambitions. And this also feeds into Musk's wish list, both at NASA and the Pentagon, where Trump is calling for a 13% increase in budgetary allocations, which are currently under consideration. By far, SpaceX is already the largest recipient of Pentagon spending, reportedly, on existing military low Earth orbit communication systems. In 2024, it secured $3.8 billion in federal contracts. Not just that, as per reports, Musk's wealth has grown exponentially through his term in Trump's administration, one that hardly comes as a surprise given the interests that have been talked about to influence the federal government under Trump. Not just that, remember the time when Trump promoted Musk's Tesla car on his White House lawn in a bid to boost the flailing automobile brand? Efforts like this one have borne fruit, with Tesla stock price reporting a nearly 4% increase last month after dropping almost 48% since Trump took office in January. Not just that, a few days ago, Trump also praised Musk, saying he is doing a fantastic job and had given him an open offer to stay in his role at the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, for as long as he wants. Several experts saying this is merely Trump's payback for the approximately $300 million that Musk had allegedly spent on Trump's presidential election campaign. With DOGE, Musk has had a significant opportunity to advance his own business interests, and with his stint, Musk has deepened his reach with the federal government, with his companies Tesla and SpaceX accounting for at least $15.4 billion in government contracts over the past decade and span multiple agencies. On top of that, Musk's bid to reconstruct government agencies, where he has both the power and access to make critical decisions, could be an opportunity for him to enhance his personal wealth in a way and influence his future decision-making. The question still is, how? Meanwhile, Iran has unveiled a new ballistic missile that it says could potentially target American bases if a war breaks out. With a range of over 1,200 kilometers, Tehran's new missile called Qasem Basir could effectively target U.S. bases in West Asia, such as the ones located in Syria, Iraq, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar. At the missile launch, Iran's defense minister said that in case of an attack, Iran, in his words, is ready to respond with strength. Listen to his words.
If we are attacked and a war is imposed on us, we will respond with strength. We will target their interests and bases, and we will observe no restraint or limitation in doing so. We have no hostility toward neighboring countries. They are our brothers. However, U.S. bases will be our targets.
According to Iran's state-owned news media organization, the new missile underwent substantial modifications to its warhead design, facilitating it to dodge air missile defense systems and maneuver more effectively. In fact, the missile is also reportedly effective against electronic warfare due to its thermal imaging guidance system. The defense minister further said that the new missile struck its intended target, located over 1,200 kilometers away, notably without any GPS guidance or any kind of deviation from its intended path. And during its maiden flight, it also bypassed multiple air defense systems and electronic interference. Now, the launch of the missile comes at a time when the fourth round of its nuclear talks with Washington that was postponed for logistical reasons.
There was no cancellation of the meeting with 3 European powers, and it carried no specific message. It was merely due to logistical issues. Therefore, we are certainly ready to hold another meeting with the E3 with mutual agreement.
Since the start of the year, Iran has unveiled multiple missile cities, its largest ever drone, a new spy ship, and a deadly fighter jet, among other such ammunition. The Qasem-Basir missile might be Tehran's latest move, but it's certainly keeping all its military options open, even if diplomatic breakthroughs fail. Pakistan is playing with fire. Days after the terror attack in Kashmir left 26 dead, Islamabad is flexing its military muscle with missile tests and rhetoric to mask its fatal vulnerabilities. The world watches as Islamabad scrambles for attention through military bravado, knowing well that a war with India is a gamble it simply cannot afford. While India towers as an economic and military powerhouse, Pakistan stands weakened, internally divided and on the verge of collapse. A full-scale confrontation would not only obliterate its already fragile systems, but also expose the myth of parity between the two countries. Let's just break down the hard facts that make war a suicidal fantasy for Pakistan. In a bid to Project Resolve, Pakistan today conducted its second missile test since April 22nd. The Fatah missile was tested as part of Exercise Indus, but these launches are more about optics than capability. A surface-to-surface weapon with a range of just 120 kilometers is nothing more than a desperate stunt. The timing is deliberate, the purpose transparent, to bluff its way out of a real confrontation. Now, let's get real. India's military strength outclasses Pakistan's on every front. Since the 2019 Balakot strikes, New Delhi has aggressively upgraded its arsenal, newer, deadlier weapon systems, air defense systems, Rafale jets, cyber warfare capabilities and naval dominance. India's massive troop strengths, battle-tested command structure give it a decisive edge in any prolonged engagement. In contrast, Pakistan's outdated fleet and limited resources would crumble under sustained pressure. Rating agency Moody's has made it clear rising tensions hurt Pakistan far more than India. India's robust economy can absorb the impact of a conflict. Pakistan, however, is already on IMF life support. Skyrocketing inflation, plummeting foreign reserves, and a battered rupee make even short-term conflict financially ruinous for Islamabad. A war would mean economic suicide. And then there's India's powerful geopolitical move after India announced to put the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance in response to the Pahalgam terror attack. The locals living close to two dams on the Chenab River say that the water is flowing at its lowest in the river. According to sources, the flow of water has been restricted through both Baglihar and Salal hydropower projects. This is a clear signal. India holds the high ground. And water, Pakistan's lifeline, is now a potent tool in India's strategic arsenal. You see, Pakistan is battling itself, and Imran Khan's party refuses to cooperate with the government, demanding his immediate release. The political instability is tearing the nation apart. A country at war with its own leadership has no business dreaming of an external conflict. And while Islamabad postures against India, the real war is within. The Baloch Liberation Army has launched major attacks, and former CM Akhtar Mengal has threatened protests outside army cantonments. The call for justice in Balochistan is rising, and the army is losing control. You see, war is not an option for Pakistan. It's an invitation to disintegration. India will not just win militarily, it will break Pakistan economically, diplomatically. Islamabad must choose wisely before bluffing again. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.